We're doing top 10 Steves.
Steve? Are you serious?
Holy Steve?
When you hear Steve, you're like, yeah, that's tenacious. That's ferocious. Steve, that's intimidating. Nobody else thinks that? Nobody.
And it's the receiver. 9.
What do we got? 39. Getting us 7 points here.
All 6 of them, you work your tail off.
5 seconds left. 4, you dreaming? 3, 4. Number 3.
Haven't had any bad pressure in 2 weeks.
1.
In the annals of NFL history, there have been many great names.
Joe!
Marcus. Jimmy!
The greatest football name? I kind of go with Jim. I think the ultimate football name is Sammy.
Brian?
Hey, Mike. Oh, there go Peyton.
Butkus is the best last name. Bronco is the best first name. And if there could have been like a Bronco Butkus, that would be like the best of all possible worlds.
Thanks for your suggestions, fellas, but we did our own research, and one name stood above the rest as the greatest name in NFL history.
There's been a lot of great Steves.
Steve's a great football name. I love it.
Name Steve literally translates to crown or garland. Basically means winner, most often an athletic event.
If you want your son to be successful in the NFL, got your moniker right there, Steve.
He's the best! He's the best!
Being a Steve means more than just honoring the name your parents gave you.
It's one of those names that carries more than just a name. It's a whole lifestyle.
The state of mind of Steveness is doing a difficult thing and doing it gracefully and making it look effortless. That's what makes Steve Sabol such a Steve, is that he took this game, football, and he made it into poetry.
Pro football, the game for the ear and the eye.
That's what the state of mind of Steveness is.
Over the next hour, we will count down the best Steves in football history, while also remembering the man who helped make them household names, the late Steve Sabol.
You know who Steve Sabol is? I sure do. Who is the best filmmaker in the world, isn't he?
Steve Sabol, in my opinion, is number 1.
To do the best Steves in honor of Steve Sabol couldn't be better. Couldn't be better.
The number 10 football Steve DeBerg.
Number 10.
You know who my favorite Steve is? Steve DeBerg. I love Steve DeBerg. He might be my number 1 Steve.
Great throw by Steve DeBerg, Marv. That was right on the money.
Over his 17-year career, Steve DeBerg played for 6 teams, throwing for more than 34,000 yards, the most of any Steve in NFL history.
Steve DeBerg, he is a great Steve. He's been in the league 10 years, and someone doesn't last that long unless they can really play well, and he's a great player.
Because he stayed in the game for so long, Steve DeBerg kind of exemplifies the name Steve as people perceive it.
So why did DeBerg make our list over more famous Steves? He had the one quality that's Steve above all else.
Steve DeBerg was a tough guy. I remember reading that he played in a game with a pen sticking out of his broken finger.
I always, during my career, had a higher threshold for pain than even NFL players.
When you were playing with the 49ers, there was a time you got hit in the throat.
It injured the nerves to my vocal cord, and so I couldn't speak. So actually, they set up a speaker system where there was a microphone in front of my lips, and then on the back of my shoulder patch was a speaker and an amplifier that was 3 times as loud as a car stereo.
If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, be Steve DeBerg's backup. He's a starter in San Francisco. Joe Montana's his backup. Joe Montana comes in, he goes to the Hall of Fame. He's the starter in Denver. John Elway's his backup. John Elway goes on to the Hall of Fame. He's the starter in Tampa. Steve Young's his backup. Steve Young goes on to be a Hall of Famer.
The offense is now in the hands of veteran quarterback Steve DeBerg, who is keeping the chair warm until touted wonderkind Steve Young is ready to plug.
I think the path to the Hall of Fame led through Steve DeBerg.
Steve was known for playing for a really long time.
One of the last guys that played when I played. You talking about old. I'm talking about real old.
And he had the greatest play-action fake maybe in NFL history.
Steve, play action, dig, dig, dig.
I actually can say that I copied off of his
play action fakes.
Great job by DeBerg, faking to Jamal, and then Tony Martin selling it.
He was the first guy to stick it out with one hand and pull it back in and mastered it.
Tremendous play action fake.
Despite having the best play fake in league history, whether or not DeBerg's Steve enough has been called into question.
There has to be another Steve rather than Steve DeBerg in the history of the National Football League that you can jam him into the top 10.
Steve Grogan, a quarterback with a neck roll. Shouldn't he be on the list?
I think Steve DeBerg kind of hurts the idea of Steve being an ultimate football name. I mean, he's just a journeyman quarterback.
What are you doing, Steve DeBerg? You ain't too old for this game.
Steve DeBerg inspired also one of the greatest lines in NFL history. Bill Walsh said, Steve DeBerg is just good enough to get you beat. And actually, he proved that almost throughout his career.
Let's go to commercial.
When we come back, prepare to line up for a Steve hit parade.
Better be ready.
I got a call from my father, and he said, you know, I can see by your grades that all you've been doing out there is playing football and going to the movies. But that makes you uniquely qualified for this profession.
With that phone call, a football life was born. Living up to his namesake, Sable was a Steve of all trades. He was a fearless cameraman, an excellent editor, and maybe the best writer NFL Films has ever seen.
It starts with a whistle and ends with a gun. 60 minutes of close-in action from kickoff to touchdown.
NFL Films had all this drama and the slow motion and the music and the narration, and that's all Steve Sable.
In his 50-year career, Steve Sable produced almost as many hits as our number 9 Steve.
The number 9 football Steve, Steve Atwater.
Today, the NFL's premier hitter in the secondary is Denver's Steve Atwater. He has superb physical tools, but his job isn't construction, it's destruction.
That guy was scary.
Play hard, play smart, and knock their ass off every chance you get, baby.
Here's a guy I would not want to see in a deep alley.
Okay, don't get mad at me, Tito. Keep your head on the swivel.
There's no question. How big a hitter Steve Atwater was is so Steve.
I would call him Steve and not Steve because I think Steve is too tame. Steven should be his name.
I think that people didn't say, oh, here comes Steve when they saw Atwater. They said, oh, instead of Steve.
Our number 9 Steve won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1989 and amassed over 1,000 tackles in 10 seasons with the Broncos. But he still hasn't Steve-rolled everyone.
I don't know if I really think Steve is a great football name. So Steve Atwater, tough guy, no big deal to me.
Good try, baby.
We're talking about an 8-time Pro Bowler, a member of the 1990s All-Decade Team, a leading veteran defender on 2 Super Bowl champion Bronco teams.
The hit he had in the Super Bowl, the penultimate play against the Packers where he took out one of his own teammates and a Packer and made it 4th and 6 for the Packers. That was amazing.
Denver's gonna win it! Are you kidding me?
He was very Steve, I would say, Steve Atwater.
The hit on Okoye has to be the number 1 Steve Atwater moment.
I mean, Christian Okoye, that was a big boy.
Everybody asked me, who's the hardest guy you ever hit? And a running back, and it was Christian Okoye.
Boy, he is too big and too fast to be playing running back in the NFL.
At 260 pounds, Okoye was plowing through the NFL.
An incredible run with about 5 guys on his back.
You got Okoye at fullback.
I don't give a he playing wide receiver. Hey, Christian's still in.
But like any good Steve, Atwater met this challenge head on.
Hey, we got to lay it on his ass this time, baby.
Here's the handoff. Up the middle of Okoye.
Nigerian Nightmare hits Atwater. Epic collision. That's so Steve.
Got hit. I can feel it. I watch it.
and it's like my bones hurt.
He put some poo-poo in his con carne, didn't he?
Guys would get alligator arms against that Denver defense, and Atwater was the reason.
You ask someone who is the best pure safety of all time, name someone who's been better than Atwater. Other than Ed Reed, maybe. But he's not named Steve. If he were Steve Reed, he'd be better.
The number 8 football Steve, Steve Tasker.
I'm number 11, right? You guys, you're reaching now. I played 13 years. My career highlight tape is 30 seconds long, and it has repeats.
Bruce, you better check out Tasker.
While a true Steve shouldn't be a braggart, Mr. Tasker could have benefited from a publicist.
Number 89, wore that double helmet.
Steve Tasker had the big helmet, right? Didn't he have like that giant, like great Gazoo helmet that made him look like a character in Spaceballs?
Guys, it wasn't Steve Tasker wearing the Great Gazoo helmet, okay? That was Mark Kelso. So I guess all scrappy white football players that play for the Bills, the same guy. Oh, I get it. They all look the same. All right.
Were Don Beebe and Steve Tasker the same person? I would say that they probably together would make one person, but then they would like split and one would play offense, one would play defense.
With 7 trips to the Pro Bowl, our number 8 choice did make his Steveness felt in the 90s.
When you think of special teams, you think of Steve Tasker.
He is considered the great special teams player in NFL history.
Didn't they invent a Pro Bowl slot for Steve Tasker? I mean, say what you want about the Pro Bowl, but that's pretty significant. He made punting fun. Like, your team is at 4th down, you have to punt, but Steve Tasker's about to crush somebody.
Oh, big hit.
I'll bet you any amount of money that there are some Steves in Western New York right now who are Steves because of Steve Tasker.
I think every Steve in the world is proud to walk around their lives knowing Steve Tasker shares their namesake.
How big are you?
I'm 5'9", and today I weighed 184 pounds.
If you see Steve without the equipment, he does not look like a professional football player. You know, he looks like somebody who should be working in Office Max or somebody selling you copy paper, but not that way when he had the helmet on.
Steve Tasker gets to the heart of Steveness. Steveness has to do with overcoming adversity. Being 5'9" and being arguably the best special teams player in NFL history really means something. So I think Steve Tasker is very Steve.
Well, the name Tasker kind of gives you the feeling that this is the guy that you can give the job to. Steve Tasker is the type of guy that gets everything done.
Wow. I mean, this is a Steve who laid it all on the line in whatever role was given to him. He really embraced the fact of being a Steve.
I got your back.
Let's mention what a good broadcaster he's been after his career.
He's a good sideline reporter. He gets the game, and maybe that's because his Steve quotient is off the charts. It's the Steveness.
Then on CBS Sports, you go to the Super Bowl this year, the lights go out, we're in a blackout in the Superdome, and who is reporting to America like he's Edward R. Murrow? Steve Tasker.
It was an outside power feed coming into the stadium that suddenly went dead.
I love Steve Tasker. Selfless guy, great American hero.
Coming up, find out which Steve is the head coach of our list.
What's the old ball coach going to do here?
He would be someone I'd want to play for.
I think of him, I think of the word winner.
Hey, but you ain't answered the question. Where all the money?
There is no money. The money's being
spent.
You ain't doing it on your wardrobe.
I know it isn't.
You ain't doing it on your wardrobe. Let me tell you.
The Steve who inspired our list didn't exactly dress to impress.
Hey, if it's free, it's for me.
That was one of the great things about Steve Sabol. He never took himself too seriously. He would wear crazy things.
What the hell is what's going on with this guy?
But in true Steve form, Steve Sabol still became a fashion icon in his own right.
Did you get my socks? Did you get my socks? You gotta have red Sabol socks. If Steve could do it, anybody could do it, right?
That is so Steve.
Some may call it a wardrobe malfunction, but Sabol socks were on trend for our next football Steve.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
The number 7 football Steve, Steve Mariucci.
You guys
guys gotta talk. You better get your ass in your playbook. Just bring it.
He doesn't have any charisma. He really lacks charisma. I mean, when I think of Mooch, it's kind of boring.
Nice legs. Get a tan, will you? Look at you. You got them sleeves rolled up. Put a pack of cigarettes under there like Fonzarelli.
I always liked Mariucci. I thought he would be someone I'd want to play for if I was in the NFL.
That's a first. I really appreciate that. That's a first.
Don't mention it. Nice job,
I owe you.
That's true. Nice job.
If Steve Mariucci weren't lucky enough to have Steve Young as his quarterback, he wouldn't be on the top 10.
Including Steve Mariucci on our list didn't come without controversy.
Whoa! Whoa! They don't call him Steve. They call him Mooch.
Good luck, man. Good run, Mooch. Good run, Shane. We'll see you in a few months.
Very, very few people call me Steve. I hardly refer to myself as Steve.
You can't run from the Steve. And if your nickname is Mooch, that's very un-Steve.
After 6 years in the city by the bay, our number 7 Steve took his talents to Motown.
What else would I want? To come home to my home state with a team that's on the rise.
The Lions fans were thrilled when they hired Steve Mariucci because he was a coach with a winning pedigree. Everything seemed to fit with Steve Mariucci as the head coach of the Lions.
We got one more game ball. It's for you, coach.
But even a Steve couldn't turn around the lowly Lions.
I think the Lions just simply have no talent, and no Steve under any name was going to be successful in Detroit. There was nothing there. The cupboard was bare.
Just when you think you have seen every heartbreaking way a team can lose a football game, you see this.
It takes a very high Steve quotient to elevate the Lions. And Mariucci clearly didn't have enough of that Steve quotient. He had some, but if you're trying to elevate the Lions, you need way more Steve than that.
Let's go to work, man.
You've got to be really Steve to be on this list. And I just don't find Mooch to be Steve enough.
He's quite Steve. He's probably on the Steve meter, he's about 96% Steve. He belongs on the list.
Number 7, you said? No, he should be higher on the list. Top 3, in my mind.
We've heard from the pundits, but Steve, what do you think? Should you have made our list?
I shouldn't be on that list. You gotta be kidding me. So let's change it to maybe Steve Bono, another Italian Steve, Steve Bartkowski.
Hey, who cares? I gotta go make another touchdown.
So, I don't know, take me off the list, okay?
The number 6 football Steve, Steve McMichael.
When you think of the name Steve, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Steve McMichael. Steve McMichael, no doubt. Steve McMichael played the inside. He set the tone.
Growing up a Bears fan, the C-76 on the defensive line, what a force. The guy was a beast.
Tough Texan Steve McMichael was one of only 2 defenders to start every game and was second in sacks and tackles.
Steve McMichael, since it's a Celtic name, you'd think of as a big, tough guy who is not afraid to speak his mind, but would get the job done.
That whole defense was founded on tenacity and just brute physicality. And Steve McMichael was all of that.
It is Stephen Douglas McMichael, PH. I'm the one that shortened it to Steve.
Steve may have shortened his own name, but a movie character inspired his nickname.
Early in my career, the movie Blazing Saddles came out, and that character Alex Karras played, Mongo, that's kind of the guy I was in football practice.
There was the feeling that they could have put Steve McMichael in Blazing Saddles instead of Alex Karras, and it would have worked just as well.
Our number 6 Steve left quite an impression on another member of the fraternity of Steves.
We had him on our team in Green Bay. Steve McMichael was a Packer, if you can believe that.
That's the way we play football in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And during practice one day, I said, hey, what's with the hair? Oh man, he didn't take too kind to that. A couple weeks later, I'm walking around the corner going to my meeting, and Steve McMichael ambushed me and bit my shoulder. I had McMichael dentures right in my skin. That guy was one whacked out Steve. Yeah, I love that guy.
Steve McMichael played in the NFL and wrestled in the WCW. He even ran for mayor But in the end, he's just a guy named Steve.
If God were to carve a Steve out of granite, he'd look like Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael on the hit.
Mike Ditka actually said that Steve McMichael was the toughest player that he has ever coached. So when coach is giving you those kind of accolades, bow down. Bow down to Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael absolutely brings honor to football players named Steve.
I have brought honor to myself. It just so happens I'm named Steve.
When we return, the list gets a little crazy.
He doesn't seem like a Steve to me. They should call him Psycho. Working out like a psycho.
Stevie Steeler, how you doing, man? You all right? Yeah, good. You looking ready to play?
Mascots, moguls, and movie stars were deemed ineligible for our list. But let's look back at numbers 10 through 6.
Number 10, Hall of Fame predictor, Steve DeBerg.
If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, be Steve DeBerg's backup.
Number 9, hard-hitting Steve Atwater.
How big a hitter Steve Atwater was is so Steve.
Number 8, special teams ace, Steve Tasker.
When you think of special teams, you think of Steve Tasker.
Number 7, is he a Steve or a Mooch?
Very, very few people call me Steve.
Number 6, the real-life Mongo, Steve McMichael.
They could have put Steve McMichael in Blazing Saddles instead of Alex Karras, and it would have worked just as well.
And now, the number 5 football Steve, Steve Smith.
Number 5. He doesn't seem like a Steve to me.
They know my name for a reason.
Steve is understated.
If you see this face, that means I score.
Steve is humble.
Man coverage, I'm eating this up. I'm out. Pac-Man, baby.
Steve doesn't draw attention to himself with end zone celebrations.
And Steve Smith just changed the diaper on the football in the end zone, I guess. He was changing the baby.
So Steve Smith, you're more of a Stevie, like a Stevie Johnson.
Steve Smith, he's my favorite receiver. Maybe that's the reason why I do a lot of, you know what I'm saying, silly things. That's the guy that I idolize. The dude is a warrior, he's a beast, man. He's everything that I would want to be.
If Steve's epitomized cool, should we make room for one of the NFL's most notorious hot dogs?
He should be on this list because for what he did with his size and coming out of Utah, Steve Smith has been one of the great overachievers really in the history of the NFL.
One guy is not going to be able to stop Steve Smith. Steve Smith, Steve Smith, Steve Smith is incredible.
That, to me, is what a Steve does. You have to admire the guy winning the Triple Crown in 2005 for receiving yards, touchdowns, and completions.
That's what I lead the league, right there. That's what I do best. Catch balls.
Would you say it's an accurate description of your play if someone said, well, you know, Steve Smith, he plays with a chip on his shoulder?
I don't play with a chip on my shoulder.
You play with a block on your shoulder.
No.
I don't know why they don't like me. I mean, I just make plays, that's all. I don't know why they don't like me.
Every time he makes a catch, he gets up and brushes himself off and struts around and jaws as if he's just proven legions of doubters wrong, even if it's a 7-yard slant.
He's a gamer. You gotta love his energy and his emotion.
Big plays by big players in big games.
That's part of what's driven him.
You can tell me I ain't gonna be nothing, but I wear these shirts,
I've always had a soft spot in my heart for Steve Smith since following the Vikings' unfortunate Love Boat incident. He caught a touchdown pass against the Vikings and then rode his boat in the end zone in Carolina, and I think that's maybe the most hilarious moment in the history of the NFL.
That is on Steve-like. You expect Steve to just hand the ball back to the ref, but he was the opposite of that. Did a lot of cool, interesting touchdown celebrations.
Go Steve! Go Steve!
Art Monk is the most Steve receiver in that sense. Every time he got to the end zone, he acted like he'd been there before and he was going to be there again.
Since Steve Sabol was a sucker for a showman, we think he'd be thrilled to see the league's most flamboyant Steve at number 5.
In terms of my own eccentric definition of Steve-ness, he would be lower for being a showboater. No offense, Steve Smith, you're a great player, but come on, what's with the showing off?
The number 4 football Steve, Steve McNair.
One of the toughest, most resolute on-the-field performers I've ever seen at quarterback.
If you believe, we'll always believe. Right. It's all you now. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying, Steve. Now he's a Steve. The quarterback's name is Steve McNair. That's like Steve Austin. He's got like that name like he's a superhero. Big chest, strong arm. He can take a hit.
Wow. McNair giving up his body.
Showing that country strong again right there.
I think Steve McNair typifies a Steve because gutty, gritty, played through injuries. How many times did Steve McNair go out there less than 100%?
Steve McNair, who continues to play through injuries.
He played through bruised sternum, broken ribs, strained ACL.
Bears down, holding his throwing hand.
Steve McNair was a warrior. Ask any one of his teammates. That is as Steve as it gets.
The toughest man in football, right there.
McNair led the Tennessee Titans to Super Bowl 34 and was named league co-MVP in 2003. But what puts our number 4 Steve near the zenith of Steve-ness is his journey to the top.
He had to take a different route to greatness than a lot of guys. Came from Alcorn State, historically black college.
With the third choice, the Houston Oilers select quarterback from Alcorn State, Steve McNair.
There's a lot of questioning coming out of Alcorn State of Aaron McNair and throwing the football at that level, whether it was going to translate.
He was the highest drafted African-American quarterback at the time, still at a time when African-Americans were struggling to establish themselves as quarterback.
The Oiler players make no secret of their excitement about playing with McNair.
Again, overcoming odds, overcoming obstacles, that to me is very Steve.
Titans quarterback from Alcorn State, number 9.
Maybe one of the most heroic performances he ever had was in a loss to the Rams in the Super Bowl.
He came up 1 yard short.
Steve McNair's performance in the Super Bowl was as gritty as you'll ever see.
Down 23-16 in the fourth quarter, McNair had just over 2 minutes to lead the Titans to a game-tying touchdown.
He just had the Rams defenders just grasping at air, trying to get him down and sack him.
Steve, he gets away somehow. Fires downfield, there's Dyson. Somehow McNair escapes.
Whatever he needed to do to win, he was going to will the Titans to victory.
The clock ran out on McNair's Super Bowl dreams.
He dives for the end zone. Didn't make it.
Keeping him from cracking our top 3 Steves of all time.
If he would have won that game, of course he would have gone up the list.
Steve McNair has nothing to be ashamed of. He gave it all.
Steve McNair will go down in history as not only one of the great Steves, but really one of the great gritty competitors the NFL has ever seen.
Up next, which Steve ran his way to number 3?
He had 8 1,000-yard seasons. Excellent career.
He's got an incredible collection of size and speed.
Steve is the prototypical cool American male, the man on his horse. Steve McQueen was definitely the coolest.
And Steve Sable clearly channeled McQueen's essence when in front of the camera.
Okay, I don't have any snot on my lip or anything like that.
He was very entertaining. Could have been an actor. He could have been one of those guys, you know.
Roll 1, Steve Sable.
They said I was mad, so I came to work here in the basement of NFL Films.
Harry, I think you should beam yourself back and analyze this in person.
Steve, I'll tell you. Coming up next is the Mazda Outlook with a special preview of the Atlanta Falcons Los Angeles Rams game.
Jets are still making too many youthful mistakes. They're a little green.
One of my nightmares is that the whole NFL Films vault would someday be burned to the ground, and the only thing that would be left would be these skits that Harry and I did.
The skits live on, but the vault still holds vintage footage of our number 3 football Steve.
The number 3 football Steve, Steve Van Buren.
When you think of the name Steve, who's the first person that you think of?
I'm sure I'm the only one that's going to answer it this way, but the first one I think of is Steve Van Buren.
Yes, Ray, you are, but for good reason.
I don't think there's much question. He's the greatest Steve in the history of the Eagles franchise. And I really do think one of the great running backs in the history of the NFL. I mean, he was the key to a team that won back-to-back world championships. And he retired as the all-time leading rusher in the history of the NFL.
That is Van Buren on another beautiful run, and Stephen certainly having a sensational day today.
90% of Eagles fans now never saw Steve Van Buren, but everybody will tell you that Steve Van Buren was the best Steve you ever saw.
I don't know that how many people remember who Steve Van Buren was, but you asked me who's Steve, and I would say Steve Van Buren.
Let me give you the ultimate Steve moment in Steve Van Buren's career. He wakes up day of the 1948 NFL title game, and it's a blizzard in Philadelphia.
When we said a snowstorm, we really mean it.
Steve Van Buren looks out his window that morning and sees the snow coming down and just figures, well, there's no way we're going to play today. And he goes back to bed. The coach, Greasy Neal, calls Van Buren.
I don't even think word got to him. Van Buren had an inner Steve moment where he's like, maybe I should go down to the field anyway. And what does he do?
I had to catch 3 trolleys and walk about 6 blocks to the stadium.
Luckily for the Eagles, our number 3 Steve made it to Shibe Park that day and scored the game's only touchdown in Philly's 7-0 victory.
With the championship riding on his shoulders, Steve Van Buren blasts off right tackle for the game-winning touchdown. And the Philadelphia Eagles become the 1948 world champions.
The Eagles win the game 7-0. He scores the 1 touchdown. And after it's over, retraces his snowy steps back to his home. And, you know, that was Steve.
Van Buren hasn't played an NFL game in over 60 years, but his high Steve quotient qualifies him as the number 3 Steve of all time.
How old you think I am, my man? I might look 80, but I don't remember Steve Van Buren. I go back to the 60s.
Steve Van Buren could be higher. We forget about these guys of the past, but that should not count against the guys who are pioneers of the game and guys like Steve Van Buren.
He was the marquee player of the National Football League in the 1940s.
Ball is given again to Van Buren. There he goes, folks. 10 yards for the touchdown.
He was the first guy to have more than 1,000 yards in a season twice at a time when it was only 12 games.
If you're looking at Steve's in Philadelphia history, he's clearly got to be the best.
Let's hear it for the greatest Eagle of them all, Steve Van Buren.
And one of the greatest NFL players of all time, as a Steve.
Still to come, was our number 2 Steve a football player or a teen heartthrob?
The hair was always well coiffed. Every girl wants to marry and every guy wants to be like him.
Steve Sabol, you're the best.
Hey, Sabol, we love you, baby! No matter what team you root for, Mr. Sabol was a legend.
And above all else, this influential Steve will be remembered for his legendary love of the game.
We wanted to just talk about
Super Bowl.
I've been to every one. I mean, come on. I hope we got that on camera.
Thanks to you, Steve, we got it all, including the Hall of Fame career of our number 2 football Steve.
I remember from our footage, you were the greatest at that. Yeah.
The number 2 football Steve, Steve Largent.
After 14 seasons, Largent retires as the NFL's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yardage, and receiving touchdowns. He's been a champion in the truest sense of the word.
Steve Largent put Seattle on the map. I mean, he's just an unbelievable receiver.
Steve Largent ranks second on this list is very appropriate. He's one of those guys that every girl wants to marry and every guy wants to be like him.
Zorn drops back to pass. He's going for 6 in the end zone to Largent. Touchdown, Seahawks!
He's an epic wide receiver who's undersized, never wears gloves. That's very Steve. He then becomes a very successful politician afterwards.
Largent! Largent! Largent!
I mean, look, let's face it, he's the ultimate Steve.
Our number 2 Steve put up prolific numbers.
Now Lutz throws to the end zone. There it is. Touchdown, number 1.
100!
But he certainly didn't look the part.
They say he looked like an accountant or something. We go out there and eat you up.
I think when you would watch the film, you go, really? We can't cover this guy? Really? And yet, he was a great possession receiver. He could beat you deep.
Largent wide open at the 10. He's got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
He did more with less, and that's very Steve.
If I were a defensive back, this is one combination I wouldn't want to mess with. Jim Zorn and Steve Largent of the Seattle Seahawks.
You know, he and Jim Zorn made quite a team there in Seattle.
Zorn drops back. He cranks up. He throws deep for Largent up the left side. End zone. Touchdown, Seahawks to Largent.
They would ride to practice together. Jim had this old, I don't even know what year it was, but it was an old yellow bug.
They arrive for work in a 1972 Volkswagen. The driver is Jim Zorn. His accomplice, Steve Largent.
Steve Largent and Zorn, maybe they weren't Unitas and Berry, maybe they weren't Montana and Rice.
Touchdown, 49ers!
But they were an incredible combination that really didn't get the credit they deserved because they were in Seattle. They were a really dynamic duo.
When you talk about Steve Largent, it's hard to not mention the Mike Harden double dip with that one.
Largent's 1988 season opened with a nasty blow from Denver's Mike Harden.
So then the rematch that season in the Kingdome, Mike Harden intercepts a pass and kind of warp speed out of nowhere comes number 80.
And Harden doesn't see him coming. Largent gets that next smack right back.
Largent just unloaded on Mike Harden.
Now you tell me that's not Steve enough for you? Oh man, is that Steve.
Largent may be small in stature, but he is big on Steveness. And that earned him the #2 spot on our list.
Steve Largent might not have been thought as the #1 player, but when the lights went on the field, he came through.
Zorn throws deep to Largent. He makes the grab. Touchdown, Seahawks!
That is the kind of dependability that the name Steve represents.
Personally, I think Steve Largent deserves to be #1 in terms of all-time Steves. Because let's face it, not only is he a Steve during his football career,
Largent becomes the all-time career receiving leader.
but after his career, he's doing public service. Now, what's more Steve than public service? I think he's the #1 Steve of all time, personally.
That's true. Next!
Coming up, we've reached peak Steveness.
Among Steves, he's at the top of Mount Steve Moore.
How you doing, Steve?
Way to throw it, Steve.
Good shot, Steve.
Hit it, Steve. Hit it, Steve.
Hey, Steve, we got to do better than that.
You're right, Coach. You've got to be a pretty impressive Steve to make this countdown. Let's recap our list so far.
Let's go, Steve.
Number 10, the ageless Steve DeBerg.
Would you be that surprised if in week 4 of this season, somebody got hurt and trotting in there was Steve DeBerg?
Number 9, Christian Okoye's bad dream, Steve Atwater.
Nigerian Nightmare hits Atwater. Epic collision.
Number 8, it's not the size of the Steve in the fight, but the size of the fight in the Steve.
How big are you?
I'm 5'9" and 184 pounds.
Number 7, the coach of our list, Steve Mariucci.
Who'd be someone I'd want to play for if I was in the NFL?
Number 6, forget Steve Austin, Steve McMichael pinned down a spot on our list.
He's number 6 on the NFL list, number 1 in the pro wrestling list of Steves.
Number 5, the showman of our list, Steve Smith.
That's what I do best. Catch balls.
Number 4, he was built country strong, Steve McNair.
Steve McNair was a warrior. That is as Steve as it gets.
Number 3, Honduras's lone representative in the Hall of Fame, Steve Van Buren.
He was the marquee Steve of the National Football League in the 1940s.
Number 2, the well-coiffed Steve Largent.
He's one of those guys that every girl wants to marry and every guy wants to be like him.
And now, the number 1 football Steve, Steve Young.
That's a tough question. Who's the best Steve in NFL history? I'm gonna have to think about that one for a second.
It's just a question. Please, get a response for that. I'd like to know.
I would put him in the litany of players in the top 10 all time. Maybe top 5 all time. In my world, he's number 1.
But on a list of Steves, you got Steve Young, and then it's sort of like you got everybody else.
Rice is out there. Touchdown 49ers! Steve Young, one of the courageous games I've ever seen him, is just the stuff of legend.
He's no ordinary Steve. Yeah, among Steves, he's at the top of Mount Steve Moore.
Sold out for NFL Films yet, huh? Yeah, I hoard out again.
Every time we wire you, it starts out with you pick us, said how much money you want, we're not paying you enough.
NFL Films is stupid, man.
That's, you know, I could run that. That'd be very bad for your image. You know what we can do with your image?
Anything's more than zero. What I'm getting paid by NFL Films and be wired. They got me wired. I'm just giving them a hard time.
All kidding aside, we doubt Steve Sabol would object to Young's status as the supreme football Steve.
He gained more yards than Mercury Morris. He scored more touchdowns rushing than Gale Sayers. He passed for more yards than Sonny Jurgensen.
Hey, did you see how he threw that?
He passed for more touchdowns than Terry Bradshaw. And on top of that, his quarterback rating when he retired was the highest of all time. Steve Young, to me, is one of the great athletes ever to play the game.
Congratulations, you deserve it, baby. Great job.
Steve Young is the #1 Steve in NFL history, if only because he was able to take over for Joe Montana, led the 49ers to another title.
The 49ers are going to the Super Bowl, number 29 in Miami.
Maintain the legend and the juggernaut that they had going in San Francisco.
Steve Young is now #1 all time with 6 touchdown passes.
What forever lives in history of the 49ers is the sideline scene when Steve is finally going to win the Super Bowl.
Someone take the monkey off my back!
Gary Plummer walks up and pulls the monkey proverbially off Steve Young's shoulder.
And who put that monkey on his back? It was Steve Young himself. Not some imposed monkey somebody else put on him. Because all Steves have that inner drive. Blinders on, and we're coming.
From everything that our users have told us, Steve Young is the #1 Steve that comes to mind when we talk about Steves in the NFL.
The coverage was there. He had very little room. The ball had to be perfect. It was! Somehow, some way.
However, Steve Young is not actually a Steve. His real name is John Stephen Young.
Oh, my gosh.
So he's kind of a fake Steve.
But did you see it coming? Yeah.
My mom, when her OB, who she obviously had fallen in love with, his name was John Stevenson. And so when we were thinking about names, my dad says, what do you think? She goes, I like John Stephen Young. And so that's how I was named.
Therein lies the problem. Should he be #1 on the Steve list, even though he's not named Steve?
Oh, man, that hurts. You don't want to hear a rational explanation.
If you're going to do a list of Johns, maybe he should be on that one.
This one's for John.
And it's not even spelled right. It's Jon. No wonder he went with Steve.
Let's have some fun here, Steve Young. Let's have some fun.
I was never John, ever. They named me John Stephen Young, but meant me to be Steve the whole time.
You know, I can tell this stuff is going to come back to haunt me.
The power and essence of the name Steve overrules everything else. A quarterback named John Young? Are you kidding me? That guy works in a law office.
See how funny it is when I sue him. It could be a lawsuit.
He went to law school. He could have been a lawyer. He could have been John. He chose football. He chose to pull the Steve out of him. Steve is football. John's a lawyer, in my opinion. Steve's a football player.
With the risk of stumbling at the finish, did we get it right? Is Steve the ultimate football name?
I don't know. I think there's better names out there. I would have been Rocket. You know, if they would have named me Rocket Young, that would have been awesome.
If you count Steve Sabol, I think that name Steve goes right near the top.
I kind of wish I was named Steve. I might head over to City Hall right now and legally change my name to Steve.
It's no Indomitian, but I'm waiting for that show. The list of the NFL's greatest Indomitians. That's next. All right.